Hey, everybody, welcome to Vision Pros. I'm your host and coach, Fletcher Ellingson, and I am delighted to have on the show today Mr. Kam Knight. And before I introduce Kam, I want to ask you a question. Do you ever feel like you have challenges when it comes to remembering names or dates or certain facts? Or do you feel like you're a slow reader? I tell you what, in my life, I check all those boxes. And it did for Kam as well. But Kam figured out one day or during a time in his life how to change all of that. And so we're going to talk today with Mr. Kam Knight about memory, about intelligence, and he might have some surprising messages for you. So let's get to it. Kam Knight, welcome to Vision Pros.
Thank you very much, Fletcher. Really happy to be here, and thanks for having me on. Really appreciate it.
Absolutely. Hey, before we get started, we want to start off with a win, something that feels good, because there's a lot of things in life that don't feel good, and we're practiced at focusing on those. So let's bring a little positivity to the show. Give me a win. What's going well in your life?
Honestly, Fletcher, there's a lot going well. I got a new house, got a new car I've been wanting to buy. I had wanting to start doing this technique that I've developed that helps people quickly overcome trauma, PTSD, bad breakup, codependency, and even loneliness. And I've been resisting it. And this year I've kind of been going full force. So that's been growing great. And one of my goals was to get started back on podcasting. And here I am. So it's I think my first podcast really maybe for the year.
All right, man, that's a big list of
Yeah.
wins. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Way to be inspired and way to be in action around that inspiration.
Yeah. What's really interesting, and I've been thinking about this for a long time, is when you're in that space, there's a part of the brain that feels like you gotta step up because people are relying on you to be either mental performance or personal development, self-help, whatever. And I feel like that has, really helped me be a lot more focused and a lot more motivated to do things and get things done and move the needle forward. Whereas if I wasn't in this space, I don't know if I would be moving as forward as I am.
Yeah, I totally can appreciate that. Um, so let's talk about vision. Okay.
Sure.
I define vision as a clarified story which exists as possibility and is intended to be brought into the physical realm. Having said that, my question for you is, what is your vision? Tell me about your vision, Kam.
All right, so that's interesting. My vision has changed over the years. And prior to me getting into this stuff, being an author, I don't think I really had a vision. It was just to get through another day, to be honest.
Mm,
And then, I went on a long journey, over 100-country journey. And when I came back, my vision was to evolve humanity because I felt like I had learned things and gained insight that weren't really being talked about and I thought could be really helpful in helping people, especially all of us as a whole, just take the next leap. And recently, it's actually been to heal humanity because what I'm finding is that a lot of people are hurt
mm.
and we can't really show up for others when we're hurt. And it really helps to kind of release, or I should go back and work through that stuff that we're carrying and release it in order to move forward. And what's really fascinating is when we are carrying all these like emotions, it's affecting us, but we don't realize it's affecting us. And we think the decisions and choices that we're making is because it's our own, but it's really influenced by a lot of our experiences, especially the painful ones. And unless we kind of can access and release those things, eh, I don't think we really truly get to meet ourselves, or we really get to see who we really are.
Mm. Well articulated. So much good stuff to unpack there. But I want to go back just a little bit because I really want our audience to hear this. And because I
Sure.
believe there are a lot of people out there who, like you and like myself, at one time in my life, it was just about getting through the current day.
Yeah.
And I don't know about you, but that doesn't feel very inspiring,
Right.
right? And so if you're listening to this, if you're listening to Cam and you're currently in your stage of life where you're just like, man, I just need to get through the day, really, really open up and listen to what Cam's laying down here. So you went through that from that, and then you went on 100-country tour, which I want to have you back on the show to hear more about that, because
Okay.
that sounds really amazing.
Yeah, it was
But
amazing. It was definitely an experience that really hard to put into words, but there was a lot that came out of it.
oh my gosh, I'm sure we got to spend some significant time on that.
Yeah.
But I love that you went through this kind of very apathetic, lethargic way of being, kind of getting through the day, to transitioning and moving into a place of a desire to help humanity heal. Like something happened in between there that is absolutely transformational, right?
Yeah.
Can you boil that down in a nutshell? What was the epiphany, or the main epiphany that got you on put you on a new trajectory?
Well, what started is when, growing up, I felt like I didn't really connect with a lot of people. A lot of people were into the traditional watching television, into movies, into sports, um, going out and drinking and consuming, and that was fun at a certain point during college and afterwards. But after that, I actually wanted more, and I really couldn't find it. I was seeking it. I traveled all around the country, and it was really the same thing over and over. It was just a different city or different town. And then I decided to travel internationally. And it was really huge because it really opened my eyes. Because when we're living in a certain place, we think that's just the way it is.
Mm,
That's all there is to it, and there's not much more. It's kind of like fish. Fish spend their whole life in water, so they don't know that they're wet. They don't realize that there's another medium. And then when I left, I was like, oh wow, there's like a whole new way of thinking, acting, behaving that doesn't revolve on the kind of the lifestyles that I knew. And that really opened my eyes. And in a way, I kind of got addicted to it. It was very novel and very, what's the word, like drawing. Like I really enjoyed it. So I kept traveling, and the more I traveled, the different countries and continents and places I went to, always a different perspective, always a different experience, very different from what I had experienced before and prior to, and what I had known growing up.
mm,
And through all of these, I kind of gained a lot of insights and perspectives of humanity and what it means to be human and what we're built to actually receive, and how, we really limit ourselves. So that's one aspect of it. But another aspect of it is I was also hurt. I use the word broken. I know some people don't like connecting with that word, but I think we are all broken in a lot of ways, and I was. And it was really affecting me. It colored my experience of relationships. Growing up, I destroyed a lot of my relationships, whether it was with friends, family, burned my bridges at work. And I always thought it was them, but only later did I realize it was me. But it
yeah.
wasn't really me, but it was what was going on internally for me that I didn't even know and wasn't even able to access. And once
Yes.
I was able to access those things, I was like, oh, wow. And then and what's really interesting, and I see this pattern a lot, it happened to me. It's when we're going through stuff, it seems like we're the only ones that are going through it. Like, especially if you watch media and see everyone happy and living a great life and all of that, we can't imagine they had trauma or they're dealing with their own things. So at first I thought it was just me, and I kind of in some ways felt isolated. But the more I did my work and the more I'm helping others heal, I'm like, oh wow, it's like all of us. And we all kind of are carrying stuff from our past that isn't serving us. And we don't realize that we're carrying it, and we don't realize that it's affecting us. And again, unfortunate because of the way the brain works, there isn't a direct line of communication between the conscious and unconscious mind. So it's really hard to access and see what it is and what's affecting us. But if we can, do the work, get on the journey, it's very pivotal.
Yeah, so good. And I want to call attention to something you said, because again, this is what I want our readers to hear, because I think this is the most empowering thing that if we bring a spotlight to it, it can have incredible impact for our lives. You said something to the fact that I thought it was everybody else around me,
Yeah.
and then I realized it was me.
Yeah.
When I appreciate this so much, because when we can begin to take radical responsibility for our life, it is absolutely a game changer.
Yeah.
Because until we take radical responsibility, we are giving the responsibility away to everyone
Yes.
else, which leaves us without any sort of agency, without being cause in the matter of our life. When
Yeah.
we finally can say, oh, I'm creating these conditions in my life. I'm responsible for these circumstances. I have the ability to do something about it.
Yeah.
Suddenly, the game changes. Is that
Okay.
accurate?
The game changes in huge ways because once you can accept that it's you, then you can do something about it. But when
Yes.
you keep saying that it's everyone else, then there's nothing you can do. You become a victim.
Yes.
And and I do want to say that sometimes coming to that realization isn't easy. Even though people could be telling you and all the signs are pointing to the fact that it's what you're doing and how you're reacting, it's still hard to get to that connection. And if you don't mind, I'd love to share a quick story about how long it took me to even realize it. And I don't think most people could get to that point. So I'm just gonna try to say like, hey, start asking yourself now if it's me. And it's like when I was growing up, I was struggling with the people around me. Things weren't going my way, and I always blamed them. And I always thought people here are crazy. Then I'm traveling around the US and interactions and conversations or whatever wouldn't go my way. And I'm like, people here are crazy. Then, when I was out in Europe, same thing. And I'm like, people here are crazy. And then I was in Argentina and there was this one incident that happened on the street. And I'm like, people here are crazy. And then at that point, I had a voice enter in my head go, Cam, you've had all these issues everywhere. It's like, maybe it's not people that are crazy. Maybe it's you. And that's when it was like, but I had to kind of like travel to different parts of the world to have those experiences where that voice came in. And I don't know if most people would have that opportunity, but I do want people to understand that things aren't going well. Maybe instead of waiting for that voice to come into your head or waiting for that epiphany, maybe you should just ask yourself or create that epiphany for you. Like, how am I contributing to a lot of this?
Yes. Thanks for sharing that. And I want to bring in a slightly different angle to it, okay? Because you and I have some parallel experiences here,
Yeah.
where I used to think it was everybody else.
Yeah.
Everybody else was the problem.
Yeah.
If they would simply think like me, boy, the world would work a lot better, right?
Yeah.
What I know now, Cam, is that if everybody thought like me, the world would be in a real heap of trouble, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
So, what I want people to hear is this: it's not you that's the problem. It's your programming. It is the patternistic ways that you think, and not even that you think, that the brain thinks,
Yeah.
because the brain is simply a collection of of like, just like my phone has a bunch of mobile apps on it,
Yeah.
right? And it has an operating system. And so the operating system determines how it processes incoming information. Your brain, or our brains, are simply a collection of apps, and it has an operating system which determines how it processes incoming data. Now, not good, bad, right, or wrong. That's just an explanation of how this thing inside the brain works. We frequently and mistakenly think that we are the brain, or the brain is
Yeah.
us. It's not. And when we realize that the brain is simply an operating system, then we can get curious. We
Yeah.
realize that we're the observer of our thinking. We can
Yes.
begin to influence our thinking. And correct me if I'm wrong, but I think that's what many of your books are talking about, is how to begin to rewire and influence this organ that is housed within the skull. Is that accurate?
100%. And I want to rip on a couple of things you're saying is yes, I'm glad you make a distinction in saying it's not you. It's actually the what's going on internally for you and what the thoughts that the brain is creating, the triggers your brain is also stimulating and all of that. And because it's not you choosing to do it, you can step back and observe it happening and seeing, is this serving me? Can I change it? And things like that. So that's a very important distinction. Yeah, it's not you, but what's going on internally. And that's a great thing because at least we can change what's going on internally. And that's
Yes.
really a lot of my focus has been is helping people understand how these different apps that you will work, why they're working the way they are, what causes them, what triggers them, and to what extent, and how to either work with it, change it, and to do it in the most easiest way possible.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so this is the crux of your work. And this is the you have methodologies that you developed to
Yeah.
help people become aware of how they learn, become aware of how the brain, some general idea of how the brain works, and then how to influence the workings of it in order to produce different outcomes.
Yeah,
Yes.
produce the outcome that you want. And so I
Yeah.
work on three main areas: the mental, emotional, and physical level. So a lot of my books, which is where I started off with, they focus a lot more on the mental level. So I've got books on memory, concentration, speed reading, and then also things like self-talk, which are really helpful. And then the technique I do now, which is the one-on-one, it works on the emotional level. And this is where my vision for healing the world comes in. And then in between that, it's a physical level, which is, diet and exercise and things like that. So yeah, it's all, my focus is always on going into the inside, working on the inside, because once we can change what's going on internally, it's considerably easier to allow us to take the actions and create the outcomes that we want on the outside. What a lot of people are doing is trying to change the outside, and then they have to
Yes.
battle with their inside. And then it's tough because you got to use a lot of will. And unless you change what's going on in the inside doesn't give up. It'll fight against you until the day you die.
Mm-hmm.
And eventually you'll get worn out and it'll win. And so this is the reason people make progress for such short periods of time. But if we can work on changing the inside, then we can reduce a lot of the resistance we ourselves are creating, makes it easier to do the thing, and then we can kind of make the progress that we want.
Yes, yes. I got to champion just what you said there, right?
Yeah.
Because it is so good. And again, I really want our folks to hear this. Imagine living on a planet with eight plus billion people, and let's just go down to your city. Okay, let's
Yeah.
say you got well, I live in a small city. It's only 5,000 people, but let me just take that because it'll be a better example. If I have issues with all these 5,000 people, internally, I'm going to be like, I have to change all the behavior of these 5,000 people so they align with what I want. Can you imagine a challenging job it would be to go and get all these 5,000 people to agree with me, to think like me, to behave like me, to exercise like me, to eat like me, to believe what I
Yeah.
know, right? It would
Impossible. And
be
then every time you meet a new
impossible.
person, immediately feel this need to change them. And
Exactly. And it would be a maddening job because
yeah,
I can't change other people.
yeah,
So if I take the attitude of, oh, what if I simply become more influential in my ways of being and how I respond? That's way more accessible,
yeah,
right? And that is, I mean, that's the spiritual work that I'm doing in my own life. It's just, when I say spiritual, I mean spiritual to me means removing the areas of turbulence, removing the areas of upset. Right. I'm getting curious about why those triggers are
yeah,
there, and learning how to remove
yeah.
those.
And I just want to add, if I
Yeah.
may, and it's not just with people. It's not just about your interactions with people where you change
Yes.
yourself, but it's also the success that you want to have. Whether
Mm,
that you want to start working out, write a book, travel, get a better job, start your own business. All of
yes.
these things also start from changing what's going on for you internally. And if you can rewire yourself in a way where it triggers motivation in the morning for you to get up early and do the necessary work, it's much easier than when you wake up in the morning, you're lying in bed and trying to force yourself to get out of
Yes.
bed to do the necessary things to get the result that you want.
Yeah. I think in short, what we're talking about here is changing to a different playbook. And this playbook says, let's focus on the internal game,
Yes,
right?
yes, that's what
Because,
it is. Yeah,
yeah, because when you can learn to become proficient at influencing your internal game, it's going to have a massive impact on the external game.
massive. And again, in different areas, whether that's improving your physical self, the outcome you want to have in your life, and more importantly, your interactions with people.
Right, right.
Yeah.
Well, we have to wrap this up, but here's what I want to say to our public.
Okay.
Kam Knight has written a number of books, and you can access them at kamknight.com.
Yep.
I took some time to look through the reviews. He has a ton of reviews on these books, all very glowing, or at least the ones I read.
Yeah.
So he's definitely developed something very special here and very effective. And that's coming from the people who have reviewed your books.
Yeah.
So
And I've
do
gotten
yourself a
over
favor, and
10,000 reviews on Amazon. So
over 10,000 reviews.
yeah, across my
Wow.
books. Yeah.
That is impressive.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, yeah. And so if you're looking to improve memory, learn how to retain facts faster, learn how to read faster, go to kamknight.com and check out some of his material.
Yeah.
Kam, is there anything else you'd like us to know before we wrap this up?
Yeah, I just have a free gift for everybody listening. So if they text the word CIR or the letter CIR to 26786, I've got a free guide for them. 5 ways to end procrastination and sabotage. And it's a great primer to learn about the internal stuff that I'm talking about and how to be very aware of how our brain manipulates us. So again, if they
Right on.
text 26786, the letter CIR and just all together, and they'll get
Okay,
that.
so text
Two,
CIR to
yeah,
the number 26786.
yep,
Right on, and they can get a that free gift from you.
yeah. That, and then I'll send them some other free stuff as well.
All right, all right. Kam, thank you so much for being a guest on Vision Pros today, and we definitely have to have you back for the
Yes.
long form live stream because there's a lot of stuff that I want to dive in to with you.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, great. I'd love to be on. So,
All
yeah.
right, excellent. Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen. Kam Knight.
Thank you.
Thank you for being here today. I'm really happy that you tuned in to Vision Pros Live. I'm looking forward to seeing your reactions as these episodes continue to move forward. This is going to get more and more fun. We'll have more and more engagement as well. We'll invite people to participate in the show. And thank you for giving us your time and attention. Have an excellent time building out your vision and becoming a Vision Pro yourself.